10 unique and sometimes small or a little bit niche healthy habits that I wish I knew much earlier in life. We're just gonna hop right into the first one, and that is thinking that my workouts needed to be an hour long. And not only did they need to be an hour long, they needed to be hard. I needed to be sweating, I needed to be in pain, I needed to feel pain the next day. I'm not sure why I had this mindset from actually a fairly young age that a workout equaled pain. That is what I thought for such a long time. And I have only recently, in the last handful of years, realized that that does not have to be the case. And, I share a backstory. I used to do very intense workouts. I would do workout DVDs, not to age myself or anything, but I used to do workout DVDs with, full like kickboxing, very intermediate like yoga cardio, but these workouts were 45 minutes to an hour long. When I would go to the gym, I'm not a big gym goer, but when I would go to the gym, I would go for an hour. I would be lifting those heavy weights. Like, I felt accomplished if my body felt so sore. If I couldn't walk down the stairs, I was like, you really nailed that workout today. And like I said, over the last few years, I've realized that that is not the case. And really, when it comes down to it, I don't think that there's a bad workout. It's whatever works best for you and your body. And also the reminder that that might change and probably will change throughout the years. So when I was younger, when I didn't have as much on my plate and I could dedicate more time to doing my workouts, that was a great thing. But I definitely noticed there was a point in time in my life where I was like, I just don't have as much time that I can be doing these hour-long workout videos anymore, that I can be going to the gym for an hour at a time. And there was some days that I would do like a 10-minute arm workout. It'd be a 10-minute YouTube video and I would grab a pair of dumbbells and I would do just 10 minutes at a time. And I remember feeling frustrated with myself for a while because it was like, well, you didn't really do anything. Like, you didn't work out. Did you even sweat? That was 10 minutes. Like, that's not good enough. And I've been able to really understand that there's always going to be times in life where I'm a little bit busier and I'm a little bit pressed for time. And some of the things in my life I'm only going to be able to dedicate a smaller amount of time to them. But as long as I keep in that routine, I think that was one of the things I kept coming back to when I was thinking about this, was that I have been able to consistently stay in a routine of working out when it comes to my healthy habits, because I never let it completely get away from me. Even if it was 10 minutes, even if it was 20 minutes, I still was working that into my routine and keeping fitness in my healthy habit regimen. And I think that's a big reason why I have been able to keep up with a good workout system all of these years. And it has really changed a lot. Several years ago, I was very much into kickboxing. I was very much into high intensity, like cardio yoga, which sounds very like oxymoron. Then there was a time that I was very into weightlifting and I was going to a gym a lot and doing a lot of weightlifting. And now where I'm at in my life, what I really love to do is walk. And, sometimes I do go on walks for an hour and a half or 2 hours, but sometimes I don't have that amount of time. And I remind myself that even if I only have 20 minutes to walk outside and walk around my neighborhood, that is 20 minutes of movement. It's 20 minutes of doing something good for my body. I also really enjoy reformer Pilates, but I will say I have trouble focusing when it comes to fitness classes. I've talked on my main YouTube channel where I mostly discuss beauty, but I was doing a Get Ready With Me the other day and I was talking about how I suspect that I maybe have undiagnosed ADHD, but it is very hard for me to focus on things for a long period of time. And that actually does include my workouts. I think it's something why walking has worked so well for me, because I'm always in motion and I see different things. I also am listening to a podcast at the same time. Sometimes I'm video chatting friends, but I'm always doing something while I'm walking. I can't just walk. like just walking like set, like that doesn't work out for me. But sometimes when it comes to doing classes, I notice that I have trouble focusing. Like I just did a reformer workout the other day where we were doing 6 movements and we repeated it for 4 different sets. That format does not work out for me. I was bored immediately and I couldn't, like, we did the first set and I was like, great. We started to do the second set and I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this. And I know now that those are not the workouts that are best for me. But typically when I go to a reformer, we have a reformer studio where I live, and I just do YouTube videos because I'm also not great in like class settings. I will look for videos that are 15, 20, 25 minutes, over 30 minutes. I know that I will not keep my focus. I will get bored and I'll probably honestly lose my form. And when it comes to reformer, form is very important. When it comes to weightlifting, form is very important. And if I start to lose focus and I can't be safe when I'm working out, then that's, you know, a detriment to what I'm doing. So realizing that workouts don't have to be an hour long, they don't have to be painful, they don't have to make you in pain for the rest of the week, and that the act of focusing on moving my body and doing good for my body is really what matters at the end of the day. I wish I had figured that out much sooner. Next one that I want to talk about is tracking. I think tracking is so important. And I say this and I mean a couple different things when I say tracking. When I really started to change my lifestyle and focus on incorporating more healthy habits into my routine, the biggest way that I have been able to make any changes is to track what it is that I'm trying to change. And what I mean by that is when I was trying to change up my diet, there was a point in time where I ate extremely unhealthy. And it wasn't even like I just like ate fast food all the time or things like that, but I wasn't getting like whole foods into my diet. I wasn't eating vegetables on the regular. I wasn't making a lot of meals at home, you know, different things like that. And I remember being like, okay, I'm a grown adult. Like, at what point am I going to start taking care of my body, but through diet and nutrition? And so one thing that I did was I started to track everything that I would consume throughout the day. And that would be from food, from my meals to my snacks. It would be to my drinks. Was I having a coffee in the morning? Was I having soda throughout the day? Because I think that it's very easy for us to look at our lives and be like, oh yeah, I want to change this, and this is what I'm currently doing. Like, I'm probably working out this many times a week. Like, I'm probably eating this many calories a day. I'm probably saving this much money a month. But it's all very like ambiguous, and we don't actually know what we're really doing. So tracking that is the easiest way to find out, like, oh, I'm actually drinking 3 sodas on average a day. Like, maybe it's not every day, but when I look at it for the whole month, I'm like, oh wow, like you're really having a lot of soda on this day. And even when it comes to finances, when I was really trying to change my finances, and I'm like, oh, you know, like I probably make this much. I think I put this much in savings. I try to put this much away for, you know, whatever this financial goal is. Those are such broad statements. We need to know exactly what we're working with. So tracking all my finances, there was a time where I set out, I tracked everything that I brought in down to the penny. It didn't matter if I was getting 50 cents from something, I was putting that 50 cents in. To everything that I was taking out, to everything that I was putting into a savings account, I tracked it all so I could see it. There has not been a single time that I have sat down to track a segment in my life that I haven't been shocked at what I have found. Because these days, sometimes I feel a little bit on autopilot. I feel a little bit automated sometimes, I guess. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm probably doing this, I'm probably doing that, probably consuming this, probably eating that. But when you actually like put pen to paper or you type it on your computer and you see everything, I hate to say like I guarantee that you'll be surprised, but when I'm telling you, and I'm someone who has like, I have a pretty firm grip on my life and the way that I run it, and I still get surprised every single time that I decide to track something. So if there is something in your life, finances, diet, workout, even something like relationships, your career, just your daily routine. I work with so many women who want to change up their daily routine. The first thing that I always say, track everything that you did. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is, especially the small things, because the small things are what go under the radar. The small things is what we don't for some reason we pass those over so much. When you think about your day, you're like, oh yeah, I woke up and then I ate breakfast and then I worked out and then I worked for a couple hours and then I ate dinner and then I watched a movie and went to bed. And it's like, that's really, like, what else did you do in between those times? Like, you said you worked for this amount of time. What did you do while you were working? Like, did you take any breaks at all? Did you stand up? Did you work out? Did you go for a walk? Did you eat something? How much water were you drinking? What were you doing during those times? Were you on your phone? I will literally have the women that I work with also track how much time they are on their phone. How much time do they spend reading a book? What are you actually doing in your life? Because that is the only way that you can make new routines, is when you understand what your life really looks like. And it can't be just this general scope of your day, of your bank account. It has to be all the actual little details that are inside. Once I realized this, and once I realized this is like my fast track to actually changing my routine and getting new healthy habits, that one was a game changer for me. Speaking of finances, let me just talk about a high yield savings account real quick. This was something, again, so I'm gonna preface this that this was, a few years back, but I didn't have a lot of a financial education growing up. I've always said I didn't feel like we were really taught much in school. I didn't have anyone in my life that was, teaching me a lot about financial education. I have definitely struggled with money for most of my life. I always say that, like, I don't have a good relationship with money, because to me, I have a very fearful attachment, I guess, when it comes to money, because I know how hard it is to live life without it. And I also know, there's definitely been times that I have mismanaged my money, those sort of things. But I sometimes get stuck in this fearful relationship with money of what if I run out? What if I don't have any more? What if I don't get any more? And that's not a great place to be. It's something that I always actively have to work on. I think it's probably something I will have to actively work on my entire life, because of how many years I spent being afraid of money and not having it and not getting more of it. It's something that has deeply affected me as an adult as well. But when I became so frustrated in my life about money and was like, okay, no one's coming to save me. I'm not just going to have money drop out of the sky one day for me. Something has to change within me, right? I think too, realizing that if you want changes to happen, you're the only one that's going to make them happen. That was a wake-up call for me one day, because I think I kept waiting for someone else to change my life. I kept waiting for someone to give me an opportunity. I've told the story on my main channel that when I read about some celebrities that got discovered at the mall and now they're models or actresses, I literally would go to my local mall in small town Iowa and strut around, because I was just convinced there was agents there just waiting to see my 14-year-old self walking down the mall. When I finally got out of that headspace of someone else is going to give me the opportunity, and I changed that to, you're going to give yourself the opportunity. You are going to set yourself up for success. You are going to set yourself up for these opportunities. That is when so many things changed for me. And I got out of just a victim mentality all of the time. But when I finally was okay, no one's coming around to hand me more opportunities. I'm not, a character in a rom-com that my aunt dies and leaves me all of her money and a house in Hawaii, and then I meet the love of my life there. I was like, all right, let me try to educate myself. And I started to read books and I started to listen to podcasts. And one of the first things when I was reading, one of the very first books that I was reading about money, it was Smart Women Finish Rich. One of the beginning chapters talked about a high yield savings account. And I was like, what's that? What is that? Because sure, I had a checking account, and yeah, I had a savings account at my local credit union. I didn't really know the difference between a checking and a savings account, because to me, neither, my money came out of my checking account, it was tied to my debit card and obviously to my checkbook. And then savings just sat there as well. But what was really the difference between them? I don't really know. And then understanding that a savings account at something like a credit union that I had was literally giving me 0.0001% on my money. I didn't realize that there was savings accounts that you could grow your money with interest. And sometimes I feel so embarrassed when I say that, when I say I was a grown adult and I didn't know that, but I didn't know that. And I don't know how I would have known that if I didn't have that education. And then if I didn't have the willingness to give myself the education, I would have just continued going through life not knowing that, unless I like asked a question one time and someone told me that. But I would have just kept going through life without knowing that. So that to me was a really big eye opener, that there was places that you could put your money into and you could earn 5% interest on something versus 0.0001% that I was earning. I went from literally in my savings account, I would see sometimes during the month, I wouldn't even earn anything, or I would literally earn 0.01 penny cent. I don't even know what you say. And at the end of the year, it was like, congratulations, you earned 22 cents in interest. And I was like, all right, cool. To all of a sudden, I was getting $100 in interest and then hundreds of dollars in interest. And I was like, how is this possible? Like, I felt like I discovered, I'm going to say, I'm using the term gold very loosely, but like that to me, when I started to watch my high yield savings account have compound interest, and every month, I make a deposit, sometimes twice a month, I make a deposit into my high yield savings account, and then I see at the end of the month the interest earned. It just gets me so excited, and it also gets me so angry that I wasn't doing this sooner. Because the thing with compound interest is the more over time, the more interest you compound. So same way as like compound interest is, a negative thing when it comes to credit card debt, because that just is what piles up your debt even more and what you owe even more. On the flip side, it can be a good thing when it comes to savings, and you can just be saving even more. It is something I wish I knew so much sooner in life, but even if you are someone who is a little bit older, it's not too late and you can start now. And I highly recommend that you do, because the earlier you start, the better off you're going to be. So don't just sit around and be like, okay, that's something I'll look into next year, or 7 months down the line. Like, look into it right now if it's not something that you have. I know for me, I use Marcus Goldman Sachs. I have a referral link, and like anyone gets a referral link if you have accounts with them. So it has nothing to do with like being a content creator. But what happens is they give, if you like sign up for an account, they give you an extra point of interest for a certain amount of time. They also give me an extra point of interest too. So that's kind of like the point of it. But they also give you an extra point of interest for a certain duration of time, which just can help build on even more compound interest from there. But that to me was something that was so, like, I couldn't believe like I was actually making money just by making deposits into my savings account. I just so wish I knew that sooner. I was talking about my diet earlier, and I just wanted to sneak this one in here that like vegetables didn't have to be the enemy for so long. So it's so funny to me because I always say like how picky of an eater I was, and I was like for a while there, I literally would just live off of like chicken strips and mac and cheese. Like it was a rough time in life. But putting a focus on my diet and understanding that the way that you actually like make vegetables can make them so good. Like right now, my favorite veggie is Brussels sprouts, and I feel like there's so many different ways that you can make them, different like almost like, I don't know if I want to say toppings that you can put on them, but I have so much fun going out to restaurants and seeing Brussels sprouts on the menu, because it's like, yes, it's obviously Brussels sprouts, but like it's going to be different, and sometimes it's like a little bit more southern, and sometimes it's like more spicy, and some like I have so much fun making them at home. And I have turned into such a vegetable lover since I took the time to understand how to prepare them in really good ways. I feel like for me, when I was growing up, it was a lot of, and I hear this from a lot of people my age as well, this is just what it was at the time, but a lot of like frozen vegetables and things like that, and not really prepared in the most yummiest of ways. And now I think, especially with social media, we have so many people out there bringing us into their kitchen and showing us these different recipes and how to make them. And it's like, I love, like right now, I love sweet potato bowls. I've been making sweet potato bowls so much. That is, I remember I used to see sweet potato fries on menus at restaurants, and I was like, who would order that? Who would order sweet potato fries instead of regular fries? Now I order sweet potato fries all of the time. I make sweet potato fries at home. I make sweet potato like desserts. Like I'll just do, it's so funny to me because I will literally have sweet potato in like a bowl with like ground beef or chicken, that sort of thing. And then I will also have sweet potatoes as an appetizer with fries. Then I will also have sweet potatoes as a dessert. And I will literally just like sprinkle cinnamon on them and put them in the air fryer. And then it's like you have this little dessert. Like sweet potatoes, I didn't realize there were so many different ways that you could make those. But it, again, to me, it was kind of taking the time and the energy to look into dietary changes. I got really sick at one point. I was diagnosed with adrenal PCOS. One of the biggest things that I tried to make changes to was my diet, and that was definitely including more whole foods, more vegetables into my routine, making more meals at home. And once I started to look into it and I realized this actually isn't hard. It's not hard to make vegetables taste good anymore. I feel like it opened up so many doors for me. I mentioned this a little bit earlier when I was talking about working out, but the benefits of walking, I feel like is something that I've known for a while, but I've really lately come to understand that it is such a beneficial source of moving your body. It's such a beneficial source of working out. And for me, this actually goes back to my high school days. I used to take really long walks with my mom. And we were essentially doing it for health reasons. But one, I always thought it was really fun because for me, it was like one-on-one time with my mom. And I love my mom. She's my best friend. And, you know, that was just like so fun for me. We would go on these long walks and we would just talk about like whatever. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes we had a Little Caesars down the street from our apartment. And sometimes we would get crazy bread and we would walk back eating the crazy bread, which maybe sounds a little bit crazy because we're on this like hot girl walk together, but we're eating crazy bread from Little Caesars. Was what it was. But I remember that my mom had noticed a lot of changes when she began walking on the regular. And that was something that always kind of stuck out to me. And there's definitely been times in life where, you know, like going to college, I started to like gain weight. You know, you talk about like the freshman 15, it's like I'm on my own, I'm just like eating whatever, and I'm going to the cafeteria so much and all these things. And one thing that I started to do was just go to the gym and walk on the treadmill. We also had like a track in our gym where people would run, and sometimes me and my roommates or my friends would go and like walk laps together and just chat. And I started to always keep that in the back of my mind that not only one, did I find walks to be good for my health, but two, I would also sometimes couple them with being a social activity, either with my mom, my friends, my partner. And again, over the last couple of years, I did a lot of changes when it came to my workouts. There was a point in time where I was doing really heavy weightlifting and I didn't really feel like that was working the best for me. And then after I was diagnosed with the adrenal PCOS, one thing that my doctor told me was because mine is adrenal, my symptoms are brought on by stress. And when it comes to working out, if I'm doing things that are high intensity or a lot of heavy lifting, what it's doing is putting stress on the body. So it was actually kind of working against me because of my particular symptoms. I always try to be very clear and like, I'm not saying that's the case for everybody. I know a lot of, women who love their high intensity workouts, who love their weightlifting, but they probably don't have adrenal PCOS, so it's always going to be different for everybody. And like our limitations look different, our restrictions look different. What works best for us is always going to look different. But that was kind of like an aha moment to me because I was like, why does this work for everybody else? But for me, I'm just gaining more weight. I feel more and more tired. I feel more lethargic. Like, why is this happening? And so when my doctor said, you really want to focus on low impact, what is the number one form of low impact exercise that is talked about? It's walking. So I started to incorporate walking, and my goal started with 5,000 steps a day. Then I moved it to 7,500 steps a day. Then I moved it to 10,000 steps a day. Now I walk usually around 20,000 steps a day, or I typically say like I try to walk somewhere between 6 and 9 miles. Once again, I do walking as like a social activity. Sometimes I walk with my friends. When I had my dog, I'd always walk my dog and we had so much fun together on our walks. I also take the time, again, social wise, I use the video platform Marco Polo to video chat my friends. So I always do that on my walks. That's pretty much the only time that I use the app is when I'm on my walks, because that's kind of like a time to be social. This is also when I listen to podcasts. Really, it's the only time that I listen to podcasts as well is on my walk. I just don't really have the time to be able to focus on them when I'm at home working. When I'm in my car, I like to listen to music. Unless I'm on like really long trips, I'll listen to a podcast. But that's also the time that I listen to podcasts for fun, for entertainment, and also for knowledge and education. So that time is always really important to me. But I found that right now for me, walking has made such a big difference for me. And it's a workout that makes me feel good. I love to be able to walk outside. I love to be able to walk in the sunshine. I try to get out early in the morning for my circadian rhythm. Especially when it gets really hot where I live in Las Vegas, I like to walk before the sun comes up. And then as I'm getting back home, the sun is coming up and it's like beautiful to watch the sunrise. So walking for me has had so many benefits. And I think I kind of go back to, talking about working out needs to be really hard and it needs to be an hour and I need to sweat and I need to be in pain. I think it's why throughout the years, I would kind of disregard it, even though, again, from high school, I saw the benefits. From my college days, I would see the benefits. But it was still I still had that thought of like, that's not like a real workout though. You're just walking. You just walk. That's not a workout. And I really began to change my mind. And also a lot of times walking is free. Like, yes, you can go to the gym. Sometimes I go to the gym and do the treadmill. I do the 12-3-30. I actually bought a walking pad for my apartment, which I absolutely love. That has been one of my favorite investments that I've done. If we had inclement weather, or when my dog was towards the end of her cancer journey, she really couldn't go on walks anymore and I didn't want to walk without her. So I would just be on my walking pad at home so we could still be together. But if you're able to walk outside, or if there's a park or, somewhere that you can walk, it's also a free exercise, which I think is amazing. The environment around you can really be so key in your life. And I say environment in a few different ways, not only like, where you live, but also the people around you can really shape your life so much. I think, isn't there a saying of like the three people closest to you or something are the ones who like shape you the most? And so to be very aware of who is in your inner circle and who are the really close people in your life. And I know for me, obviously, so I'm 37 years old. I'm not sure when this video is coming out. I might be 38 at this point. My birthday is March 23rd, but of course, it's always going to change throughout life as well. But I've definitely been able to look back on, some of my friendships from high school and how actually like detrimental they were to my mental health, and some of the people that I really kept close around me, and how it wasn't beneficial for me at the time. And, even flashing forward a little bit to college, and some of the people that I kept in my inner circle that was very big on, living a lifestyle that I didn't particularly love or agree with, but because they were the ones closest to me, it kind of, I would let that shape my life as well. And, going into adulthood, I am divorced now, and I can be able to look back on my marriage and understand it wasn't the best environment for me. And the people that I had surrounded myself with at the time maybe weren't the best for me to be my best. And, I also want to say, like, sometimes talking about specific people, it doesn't even necessarily need to be like them as people. That is not the best for you, but like something about like your energies together like just doesn't work out, or your personalities together just doesn't work out. It doesn't make anyone a good or a bad person. It's just like they don't fit. They're not the right fit for you. They're not the right fit for you to be your best self. They're not the best fit for you to be your most like the word I want to say is like expanded self. I've been able to notice through life, like sometimes I'm around people who make me want to feel smaller, and that's not what I want. Like, I want to be able to have a presence. I want to be able to have a voice. And I notice sometimes I bring people into my inner circle that can kind of dim my light. And it's not that it's a bad thing on their part. And sometimes I truly believe, I don't think people do it on purpose, but it's just our personalities aren't the right fit for one another, and they're not the best fit for me to be able to grow and expand and to be my best self. And so I became aware of that, and now I try to be much more aware of who I have as my inner circle, and are they pushing me forward? Are they making me be the best version of myself? And that doesn't mean that I don't have a lot of other, friends or acquaintances and people around me. I'm not saying you can only have up to 3 people in your life that are your friends, but the people that you keep closer to you, it took me too long to realize I need to really have those people that accept me and to allow me to grow and be my best self. Along those lines too is what you consume. I have done full videos on how important I think this is. And so it was definitely one that I wanted to put in here because I, for so many years, did not realize what I was consuming on a daily basis and how that was essentially affecting my life as well. Same way with the people that you let into your life, also what you consume through media, TV, books, podcasts, shows, anything like that. That is also shaping your life just as much as the people that you are allowing in it and the people that you are allowing to be close to you. I've been able to notice times in life when I would watch a lot of like reality TV, when I would watch a lot of videos on, drama and that sort of thing. I have not really, I can correlate those times with not feeling like my best self, with not like moving my life forward, with not being motivated. And that's not to say that I never watch reality TV or never watch anything about drama, but I can definitely pinpoint a time in my life where that was the main thing that I was consuming. When I wasn't working, I was consuming content that wasn't propelling me forward in any way. And I think when I had that realization and was like, maybe I need to make some changes in what I'm watching. And this is when I started to listen to podcasts on starting your own business, on, listening to female entrepreneurs, when I started to read books on finances. This is a point in time that I can pinpoint that things started to change in my life, because the more I listened to podcasts from female business owners and how they started and how they managed to grow and scale a business, I would think, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that, until I did it, until I launched a business. And then when I started to read books on finances and all these different finances tips and think, well, I can do that. I can implement that. I can do that budgeting method. And then I did. And then my finances started to change. And again, not everything that I do is all about propelling me forward. I love to read chick lit books. I'm currently reading a super cute, like, contemporary romance book. I like to listen to podcasts about sports and about, pop culture. Also, at the same time, that's not what I'm consuming the most of. What I'm consuming the most of is those areas in life that I really want to see growth on. So for me, that was something that I wish I realized sooner, and I would be able to make those changes a little bit sooner, because realizing what I consume and how it helped the output of my life, they really have a direct correlation. Next up, I want to talk about journaling, because this is something that I have tried to do for a lot in my life. And I think for a while, I didn't really understand why I was doing it. I was just doing it to do it. I was doing it because I loved to write, and like there was cute journals I would buy at the store and cute pens, and like of course I had like diaries and stuff when I was younger. I don't think I really understood or grasped the concept of journaling until the last few years, honestly, when I started to put a lot of these other things into play. That was when I really started to understand the benefits of journaling, especially as someone with anxiety. It's me talking about anxiety again.
Hello, it's me, anxiety.
It's me. I started to be able to understand through journaling is I can use it in a variety of different ways. Sometimes I simply use journaling as like what we call like a brain dump. And it's literally just writing down so many different thoughts in my head. And sometimes when I'm doing these brain dump pages, I don't even really realize, like it's not that I'm not cognitively thinking about them, but it's like, it's really just thoughts like spilling out on the page. And then I go back and read those pages and I'm like, oh, okay. Do we have a theme here? Do we have something that we're trying to work on? And sometimes there's things that I write on the paper that I'm like, I don't even know if I really had this idea like fully formed in my mind. Like, this is something that I want to work on. This is something that I feel lacking in, but it came out when I just sat here for 10 minutes by myself and wrote down anything that came to my mind. And it kind of helped me get to know myself a little bit better. And one thing that I just love so much is gratitude journaling. And this was something that I didn't really understand for a long time, because again, this one kind of is similar to like the tracking, that when people would talk about gratitude journaling, I'd be like, I'm grateful. I'm grateful every day. I woke up today and I had dinner with my friends. Like, what a good day. Like, I'm grateful. I don't need to write that down. When I actually started the practice of gratitude journaling, I was like, Oh, because it really makes you sit and think with your thoughts. It makes you think over your day. It makes you think over your week or your month or however whatever time frame it is that you're doing it. And to sit with your thoughts and think like that, I feel like it has opened up so much for me when it comes to the actual word gratitude. This was something else that I was discussing on my main channel. I did a Get Ready With Me recently, talking about not chasing happiness, but chasing contentment and fulfillment. Instead of chasing this feeling, this fleeting feeling of happiness, what we should be trying to strive for in life is contentment and feeling fulfilled. And then we have those happy feelings, we have those sad feelings, we have those angry feelings. But at the forefront of it, we are hopefully content and fulfilled. Like, how do we get there? So then we can cycle through all these different feelings and emotions that we have, right? And in there, I did talk for a little bit about gratitude journaling and how a lot of times what I notice with gratitude journaling is when I would sit, like when I gratitude journal at night, I try to every single night. I say that I typically do at least 4 to 5 nights a week. I will write in my gratitude journal. And I will sit and I will think about the entire day, and I will write down even those smallest things, because it's not always the big things that give you that instant jolt of dopamine, that instant jolt of happiness, but it's all of these small things that make up the part of your day that make you happy, but also make you fulfilled or content. I will literally write, I was saying I'll literally write in my journal, like, I'm so grateful that I live in Las Vegas. You know, I moved here from my home state of Iowa. I'm so grateful for the lunch that I made. I'm so grateful for moving my body. I'm so grateful for the book that I read. Because again, I can look back and be like, oh, I'm so grateful for today because I woke up and I saw my friends. Like, what a great day. But then when you really think of all the little things, it really does make you sit in this presence of gratitude. And it, to me, it shifted something in my brain, where instead of just kind of lackadaisically being like, today was a good day, I'm grateful for today, I'm grateful to be alive, I'm grateful for my health, I had a list of reasons now of all, even the really small things to the things in between to the big things. I had a whole list of things. And sometimes when I am feeling down, I get to go back to my gratitude journal and I get to read all of those things. I get to read all of the different ways that I have been grateful over so many days, even in this year. I can look at my ones from last year, and that to me really has been like a perspective shift for me. And I think it's made me more grateful for those little things and to not take them for granted. And it's just, in my opinion, has made me see like the world in a little bit of a more positive light, because instead of focusing on the negatives, I choose every single day to focus on the things that were positive for me. And I feel like it helps me take on the times of more negativity with a more positive spirit, if that makes sense. But I have gone on to love gratitude journals so much. They're actually a part of my brand. I sell some products over there, like stationery products, planners, the journals, deck of cards. And so my own gratitude journal is at bysamanthamarch.com, and it's the one that I use every single night. My younger self would be laughing if she was watching this video, because she would be saying like, sleep? Like, who does that? Like, sleep is for the weak. Sleep is for the lame. Sleep is for the poor. Like, I definitely used to have the mindset, especially because I've been an entrepreneur for so long. I started my side hustle in social media in 2009, and I quit my job in traditional employment in 2014 to go full-time working for myself. There has been, you know, especially when I was working I've always worked multiple jobs from the time that I was, 16 years old, but especially when I was working multiple traditional jobs and trying to do my side hustle at the same time, trying to start a blog, trying to write a book, sleep was not a priority at all. And I was younger and I could bounce back easier and all of the things, but sleep was not a priority to me at all. And then even when I was well established into entrepreneurship and I had a pretty good routine going on, I would work until 1, 2, 3 in the morning. Like it was nothing. That was a normal time for me. And then I sometimes would also be waking up very early. Like there was times where I was only getting 3-4 hours of sleep at night, but I was like, this is what you have to do. this is what you have to do when you have a side hustle. This is what you have to do, you know, in the age of hustle culture. This is what you have to do if you want to be successful. Again, this to me goes back to like the working out. Like working out has to be hard. Like to me, it's almost like, I think I tie it in with money as well. All of these are kind of tied together. But like making money in my mind for such a long time had to be hard. Had to be. My work as an entrepreneur, it has to be hard. I have to be able, especially because I work in social media and content creators are judged on literally everything that they do. I feel like I have to show the internet, look how hard I work. Look how hard I work every single day. I don't take breaks. I don't take vacations. I don't take time off. I'm always working. That's how I feel like I have to present myself every single day, to where that just became my mindset of work constantly, no days off, no time off, no vacation, no any of those things. And there's definitely been times in my life where I'm like, man, I kind of wish I worked in traditional employment again and didn't have to work this hard. And I knew that I would still have a paycheck coming, and I knew that I could have scheduled days off, and I knew that I had a 401k and all these different things. But I obviously love what I do, and I've been doing it for so long because I do love it. But the thing that would get sacrificed so much was sleep. And like I used to very proudly say that. I used to very proudly say I didn't take days off. I used to very proudly tell the story of answering emails the morning of my wedding while I was getting my hair done. I was going through and answering all of my work emails. That was a story I used to be proud to tell. And now 37-year-old Samantha looks back and I'm like, you're proud of that? You're proud that you didn't sleep? Like I am proud of my work ethic, don't get me wrong. My work ethic is to where it got me to where I am today. It got me to where I am my own boss today. I do have a flexible schedule today. Flexible schedule, aka I work all the time. But there was so many years in life where it was like, sleep, what is that? And again, it really goes back to getting that adrenal PCOS diagnosis and my doctor being like, you need to focus on your quality of sleep, not even your quantity of sleep. You need to focus on your quality of sleep, and then we can talk about quantity as well. And I really had to make a big shift. I had to create a whole night routine for myself. I had to bring in so many nightly healthy habits to help me get into this routine of being able to fall asleep and stay asleep, fall asleep sooner, have better quality of sleep. And it's one of those that, like, again, I look back and I'm a little bit embarrassed for how proud I was that I really bought into the hustle culture, that I really bought into the fact that there's no days off. And I'm a little bit sad for that girl, and it's still a work in progress. I still work a lot, but one thing I try not to sacrifice anymore is my sleep. Sleep is so important to me. Sleep is a very studied and researched thing that we know that it has direct ties to our health benefits. You know, this was another video I did on my main channel about the morning shed, and seeing girls say, young girls say, sacrificing your sleep is worth it to be hotter in the morning. Uncomfortable sleep is worth it because you get these results in the morning. And that is something in my video I was saying I very highly disagree with this. Sleep is actually studied and researched to be a direct tie onto our health, not wearing 18 masks on my face while I sleep and taping my mouth shut. Like, so better quality sleep is something I wish I focused on a lot sooner. All right, and then for my 10th healthy habit, I wanted to talk about, I had put down like body care on my list, but again, it just goes back to like my body has gotten me through so much. I was talking to someone the other day about how like sometimes it is crazy to think about, like we got one body. This is what we work with our whole time. And of course, you know, we have different restrictions and limitations and, you know, of course, different things like that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, there's so many times where I have just not taken care of my body, and it has still gotten me through so much, and it has still protected me through so much, and all those different things. But this one isn't going to be like super serious. That was just a few things that I wanted to say. But even when I think about something like the lymphatic system, again, this directly correlates back to my PCOS symptoms, but I didn't really know what that was until my diagnosis and seeing my doctor, and she was like, it looks like your lymphatic system it's not like working properly. And I'm like, what does that mean? And learning about lymph nodes under the arms, learning about lymph nodes in the neck, learning about lymph nodes behind my knees. The first time that I went to do a lymphatic massage, when I turned onto my stomach, so the therapist could do the backs of like my legs, she gasped and she was like, the backs of your knees are so swollen. And I was like, what? And she took a picture for me so I could see it. And then she did the treatment. And then she took a picture of what the backs of my knees looked like afterwards. And it literally looked like I had like an egg on the back of each of my knees. And I had no idea that that was swollen lymph nodes. I had no idea. I was 35 at the time, probably. I did not know what that meant. And when I started to look into it, it's now something where, I love to talk about like dry brushing. It is something that I do every single time before I shower. It's an easy way to exfoliate the body, but it also helps with the lymphatic system. I do lymphatic massages on myself almost every single day. I do them in the shower. You can do them for the face to help with like puffiness on the face, but I do it on the rest of my body, my stomach, my legs, to help with inflammation, to help the lymphatic system. Even doing some things like hot cold therapy, doing cold plunges, going into a sauna or a steam room. There was so many things I learned about of how we can take care of our bodies, how we can take care of our bodies at home, that I wish that I would have known sooner. Of course, things like diet, exercise, sleep, working out, all of that goes into it, but there's also these little things that we can do as well. And lymphatic is just one of the things that I wanted to point out. And again, it just goes back to, this is something that I wish I knew about before I was 35 years old and was having problems, but I had no idea. And I can tell now, when I don't do lymphatic regularly, or when I do something like flying, I have compression socks, especially if I'm doing long flights. I will wear them because, especially my left knee, I will feel pain in the back of my knee if I'm not doing regular lymphatic. If I have a night where I wear really high heels for a long period of time, the back of my left knee will be throbbing. Like I know something is wrong with the lymph node in the back of my knee then, and I will like manually work with it at home to try to help it, or I will also go get lymphatic massages to help as well. But those are a few things that I've noticed that can still really bother me, and it's something that I wish I knew and I was taking care of my body properly a little bit better than 35 years old. So those are just a few, more a little bit unique or niche healthy habits that I wanted to share. I really hope that you learned something from this video or took something away. I would love for you to share any of your healthy habits in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.